Good evening and many thanks for joining us today. Sitting in for Mark Masai, my name is Wendy Lois. Now, tonight we dare to say that Kenya is yet to be a country for women, especially in the leadership front. We have seen women being embraced in spaces of leadership, in sports, and in places of worship, but in politics is where we draw the line. Our guest with us tonight is here to talk about it. Where are we? How do we move forward? And what all that is about. Justina Wamae, karibu sana.
Thank you, Wendy.
Introduce yourself. Let us know who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Justina Wamae. I am a mother, a wife, above all, I'm a politician. 2022, I was a presidential running mate. And we are here to discuss the future of Kenya and the women. Yeah. Hope you're going to enjoy.
Karibu sana. Justina, it's an honor to have you on set today, seeing you being in the political space.
Yes.
And having a voice in wanting to change this nation at large.
Yes.
Let's get right into it. And Justina, is Africa and other countries in this nation and Kenya specifically ready to elevate women in leadership and politics, or are we just giving sympathy faces for us to look like we are incorporating women in politics?
I feel like the women are the ones who are not ready, given the fact that we have the nominated women, the top-ups. I feel they're supposed to prove themselves so that even the voters can see their role. I always see an argument, Kenyans are saying, what is the role of a woman rep? Because on the ground, you see women rep just giving pads. Kenyans have not related to their role. So the population might be ready, but the women are yet to prove themselves, in my opinion.
That's a good point of view and a good place to start.
Yes.
You have said we saw you in 2022,
yes.
You know, being a deputy presidential candidate
yes.
for Wajakoya.
Yes.
What was it for you that made you want to run in this position? And how real was it behind the scenes for you, especially as a woman?
Probably what got me there was a network I got back in 2017 when I vied for MP, Mavoko constituency. I met someone, a guy and a mom, during trainings. You know, there's usually aspirants trainings. And I was curious, a mom and a son, all of them vying. So that's where we exchanged the numbers. And then that is the network that got me to the running mate position. So it was a good experience, you know, being there. It was different from 2017. You know, when you're running small time, media doesn't focus on you really, but up there, the media was focusing. So that was one thing. It gave me the platform. Something else is going around the country, meeting different people, different problems, just the diversity of Kenyan. Of course, behind the scenes, there's that you're seen as a running mate, so really you have no voice, or if you try to push your voice, you're seen like you're trying to outshine someone. And those are challenges that face women in politics.
So this scene can be challenging with gender-based violence and women being in marital spaces.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of backlash.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges you experienced during the campaign season and after that, you know, just being in the spotlight the way you're saying, and especially being a woman?
Okay, from my perspective as a wife, it was easy. I met my husband in politics, so he's a politician like me. Actually, when the opportunity came, I remember the person who called me, I told them I need to seek permission, you see, again, because 2017 I wasn't married, 2022 I was married, so I needed to get the permission because I didn't see the purpose of going into it, and he refuses. So it was easy from the home front. The challenge was when, you see, Kenyans, they expect a woman to not have a mind of her own. So that is the time you see Kenyans were telling me, oh, you should have not disagreed, you should have gone to Azimio, as if I have no brain of my own, you know? So those are the challenges. Away from home, the general public, how they saw me, how they viewed me, how they responded to my posts, how they commented. It becomes difficult if you have if you don't have a spine, it becomes very difficult for you.
Okay.
Yes.
As a woman who got herself into the political scene, made her impact, it is true to note that right now in our parliaments, we have 349 women members of parliament.
Yes.
And out of that, only 76 are women. That makes about 21%, you know. And this shows we still have a long way to go. There are very many struggles that are there, especially for women. And I want to bring you back to what you said when we started the conversation, that in your own opinion, you feel like the women themselves are not ready for this space. What is that all about?
When I sit down with women, many of them, they tell me, oh, I want to join politics, but I don't have the money. I want to join politics, but I'm not in the right party. So we end up taking a victim perspective. For me, what I learned in politics, I don't have the money, but I said I'm going to be different and innovative on how I do things. Maybe people will tell me, oh, maybe we see you on social media. And I tell them that is my only front. Because if Kenyans want change, then they should be willing to invest in the process, getting me on the ground, because that's politics. So I tell women, instead of being a victim, identify the gap. You can be more on social media, you can be on TV, on radio, on podcasts, just to give you visibility, instead of expecting that you're going to hang on a man's coat, maybe a large political party. And maybe many times women are shortchanged these party tickets. So women are they're still holding on to the victim perspective. Something else, when they go there, rarely do we see them pushing agendas that will make life easier for Kenyans in terms of policy and legislations. Because you're seeing, oh, the only thing you can do is give pads. So the men are led to make the serious decisions, and the women are just there. There's one time a female MP said, I can't read the whole finance bill. It's a lot of work. So what are you telling us? You don't even understand your role. So I think the women are yet to see the seriousness of being in that position.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel when you say there were even personal opinions that were voiced to you,
yes,
you know. So the chicken and the egg, which one came first? And people would argue that the hostility that is there in the society and in the political scene forces women to shrink their power. And therefore, when they come to these fronts, they can only do too much, you know. But there's another point of view that you feel and say that we need to come out strongly. So is it true to say that the environment could be hostile and harsh for women, and this corners them and limits their powers to come out in full potential?
What I've learned, 2013 I was supporting an MCA and was hoping I'll be nominated. And then 2017 I got into it, I ran for MP. 2022 my journey as running mate. I realized we need to rebrand from the woman angle to an intellectual angle. Why I say this is because if you're a teacher and you're in a mixed school, you don't mark the scripts, this is a girl, this is a boy. You mark according to how they retained the content, their ability to remember and to explain or to apply, the application. So I said, if maybe I want to stand out, then I have to come off intellectual and forget about the umama. Actually, I have a problem when you hear, oh, governor is mama, Siju is mama. And then beyond the umama, how are you influencing and shaping policies that make life easier? So I think that is a strategy I've decided to take that path. I'm yet to know how it will play out, but I feel it's easier because people forget the woman about you. They start saying, oh, that she's making sense.
Yeah.
She has positive ideas, something we can adapt. So if more women moved away from the umama thing and we start competing with men on the intellectual capacity, I think Kenyans will now see the seriousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've recently seen comments that have been made by women members of parliament, and I will be coming to that. But in 2010, the Constitution brought about a specific place that enabled women to have a representative. And there was a docket of woman representative that was brought to parliament.
Yes.
And we have seen women getting into these spaces of leadership under this umbrella of a woman representative. But still, the legislative part of it has been questionable because how much influence have they been able to bring to the Senate, to bring to the National Assembly? Where do you think the disconnect is? And especially for ladies who hold this particular position that is specifically brought to represent the women of this nation?
When I look at it, it's an issue. I've always argued that when you look at our economy, the only sector that is thriving is politics. Either you're elected or appointed as a CS or... So when I look at the women who are women rep, most of them either have financial backing. You know, they're competing women against women. So the one who has more financial muscle, the one who's seen out there, the one who really who creates a wave around herself is the one who wins. But unfortunately, maybe being a parliamentarian is not her vision. She just goes there because, okay, fine, it's a good position to make money, to build myself. So she's not motivated to influence policy. And that is why we see them, they are not creative even on what they're doing on the ground. They end up giving blankets, they give out pads, things that are monotonous. So I blame the economy because we end up having people in positions of influencing policy and legislations who it is not their calling. You're there for the financial gain. You're there to just protect your business maybe or your husband's business. So when it comes to really making an impact, then it's not your area of specialization.
So they get it wrong from the onset.
Yes.
I have a good friend of mine that says nothing ever goes wrong. Actually, things start wrong,
yes.
you know.
Yes.
And let's look at, I was even trying to have a conversation and we were looking at the numbers of bills that have been brought to the House. And the question is, the women who have already been sent and given these positions of power do not actually lobby for more women to get into spaces of leadership, spaces of power, spaces of influence. Again, what really could be the disconnect? Is it that when now they join the rest of the band, they feel like they are one of them and now they're consumed in the masculine energy and now really forget that they should be there to champion for more women? Yeah.
I think if we adapt that angle, we'll be having the victim conversation. When I look at men, they don't support each other. You do even see men at your stop attacking this man. No, the men, they attack each other in politics. But there's a funny way, when a woman comments about another woman, you're told, why are you attacking women? And that is where we end up looking like we are the weakest link in all this conversation. So I don't blame them for not supporting, because at the end of it all, I feel all of us have to pull our weight, be creative, be innovative, whatever way you get there, just be creative and get yourself there. Because I rarely see men really pulling each other. Men actually, they push each other down more than we do, but hey, they survive. They have the more numbers. So I think we need to have the survival mode for us to survive. Because I also see women saying, oh, I tried to call Mheshimiwa, she can't mentor me. But now how will you be mentored? And the style of getting there was different, you know?
Yeah.
So I tell women, you look at what really works for you, what you feel is your strategy. At least you're able to even make your brain work for you to give you the idea of getting there. Something else I learned over time is that women say, oh, I don't have the finances. But when you go into the campaign season, do you know most women have more money than men, but I think we lack the confidence. A man won't even have a shilling, but he'll come there, talk to people. He knows at the end of it all, guys will ask for money, but he'll survive. He'll use his brain to just get himself out of there. But for us, we're like, no, before I go there, I need to have this amount so that I give people. So I feel it makes us, that victimhood makes us not think about surviving just like the rest of everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
And spaces that women influence, cutting across different facets of life, have had a laid-back kind of conservative measures, you know. But we have seen our sports women thrive so well and we embrace them. We've seen some of the biggest churches we have in this country being led by women. I want to bring in the element of what social media, let's say media generally, plays in this, because we have seen sort of an unfair play when it comes to women, because anytime you do something, the backlash comes in form of how are you dressed, you know, your marriage, your kids, your sexuality, you know, and that is the backlash that is kind of given to these women in spaces of leadership. On a personal point of view, did you ever get to experience this kind of backlash? And what was the experience for you?
Oh, I remember when my photo first was put as a running mate. So everyone went and said that I'm this person's wife, you know. And I said thinking...
Yes, actually. yeah.
I went back to Google and realized they tell us the literacy rate in Kenya is 87%. I swear I doubt, because the way Kenyans argue, I was like, how can someone's wife be someone's running mate? So that is one thing I noticed. And again, you see, if my husband was not really involved in, he was not at the center of it, because he used to travel, he was my driver, he would know what is happening. But if I ever left him at home and he reads social media, I believe he would have believed those stories. So what makes it look like that is that Kenyans are still not seeing the value of a woman from an intellectual perspective.
That's true.
So even if you try argue, if they see you there, they just see you from the woman perspective. And that's why I always say, when I go somewhere, I want to bring forth the intellectual angle of me, which pushes away the female perspective. Yes.
But it could be difficult to run away from that, because biologically
Yes.
we are women.
Yes.
And it's interesting how you've said you could wonder how women actually, or how Kenyans really think. And I want to ask, how do you think Kenyans, women, men, youth of this country can actually embrace and try and push forward for women to occupy more spaces of leadership?
I think when Kenyans understand that the role of those who are appointed and elected is to influence and shape policies and legislations that make life easier for them, they'll start being keen on who they are voting for. As it is right now, when you ask someone, why did you vote for this one? They tell you, that person is saved, huyo mtu anasimama na sisi kwa matanga, he contributes for, things that are not part of the role that you're giving this person. Because I rarely hear Kenyans argue, no, they pushed a bill, the tax policy was rationalized. We don't argue from that perspective. People just say, Mheshimiwa comes for burials, or he gave us bursaries for 2,000. So until we get to a point and know, more of what you're doing is legislation, oversight. The Auditor General sends her reports every time to the National Assembly. And she says that is her weakest link, because she's done her audits, she's given recommendations, but also the reports are killed at the committee level. So when Kenyans start realizing there are bigger issues, including even oversighting, it goes beyond, we were given blankets to go to do what and go and sleep.
Yeah.
So I think Kenyans, we are the problem, because we are yet to understand the role of those who are elected and appointed. Yes.
So that's the problem, and I like how you've highlighted it. How do we move forward as a people? How do we move forward as a country to call the people in office, number one, to accountability, for their actions? So how do we move forward from the problem that is there?
I think it goes back to media. We consume so much information. Sometimes I feel like media is out for the sound bite, something funny, something else. If we divorced the man and the policy proposals, for example, in 2022, instead of reporting, Ruto is saying this, we could say he was proposing bottom-up. So, and then they start explaining to Kenyans what bottom-up means. And then instead of saying, Raila did this, Raila was proposing 6,000 shillings. So if we divorce the man or the woman from what they stand for and start highlighting what really the policy of the ideology, like for me right now, I'm subscribing to the ideology of economic democracy. I would like to see more of the argument of, she proposed from an economic angle, how to create employment. If we divorce that, Kenyans will stop seeing the person, because it's beyond the role. It goes to impact, and impact comes from what you're influencing as your policy proposal.
That's true.
Yes.
And we are in times where we have very political, heated temperatures in this country.
Yes.
A lot is really happening with our president and our economy. And we even have women in big spaces who give comments that are wanting. And you really just wonder, truly, how can this come from somebody who we entrusted you with these offices,
Yes. Yes.
And you listen to them and you just wonder. But this is a time of awakening.
Yes.
That is what I keep on saying.
Yes.
I think politically, it's been a long time since we ever had such great heat and momentum, and a lot of interest in politics, just the way we were saying earlier.
Yes.
What do you think are the 3 fundamental reforms that we can now embrace that will actually bring a steady difference as we move and gear up the momentum towards 2027?
One of the reforms is a mental shift. As Kenyans, we should know their role. If you're elected and appointed, what is your role? Don't tell me anakujanga matanga. If they influence policies that allow you to thrive, you wouldn't need them to contribute. Something else, I feel like we should approach a strategic approach even with media. Instead of, like I said earlier, reporting about the man, we start reporting on what they stand for, and then interrogating more on policies, not just saying, I'm saying about solutions. Can you give us a solution? So when we start interrogating from that perspective, even when someone comes on TV, they're arguing, oh, the president has worked. Okay, explain to us how they have worked. Something else I went to think is that we had, every time I've participated in like 3 elections, and when I go somewhere, you find people drinking, eating nyama choma, and then they're calling laini meisha during voting. Clearly, they're detached. If Kenyans saw the importance of voting and the importance of even being in a political party, volunteering as a party agent to protect the votes, and also joining political parties, because they are the ones that give policy proposals, public policy, they influence through the political parties. If we shifted how we see parties and get involved more, I think we'll be a step further in getting the right people for the job.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a general scope. As a woman,
yes,
all right? Because today we just really want to see where are we as women, as a country, how ready are we to even pass on the baton to the next generation of young leaders in spaces of politics who are women, How can we change the narrative? Because there has been a big misconception, and I think culturally, even in our homes, the woman always came second,
Yes.
Yes. If you think about even the presidential seat, it has to be a man, and then the woman is the running mate. Nikambai anamzindikisha, you understand?
Yes.
When you talk about governors and senators, it's always like the women are there to support and not necessarily be the leaders. Exactly. So how can we help, and you being in this space, how can you help to give more power to women? Because there's a lot of pressure and scrutiny, just the way you're saying. Women feel like they do not have the financial muscle. But when you get to the ground, I like what you said, men equally don't have the money.
Yes, they don't.
But they know how to survive. They know how to,
move around, run away.
But let's talk about, you see, even going back home late, if you do not have a supportive partner, then what happens to you? If you do not even have a supportive system, parents, friends, there's more encouragement to shy away from that space. So from your own perspective, having the experience that you've gained, how do we change the narrative for women especially?
Again, I think I blame the women, because when you look at women who work in other sectors away from politics, you'd be sent to a job elsewhere, and women say, oh, my husband was supportive, I went, because your husband knows you've gone for work assignment. But unfortunately for us in politics, it seems like you're going for shere, and then, so it's how we carry ourselves that I feel should make the difference. Because there's always, when you meet Kenyans, you'd even meet a woman who works overseas, the husband is here with the kids, but there are no those serious issues. The husband really trusts her. But when it comes to politics, you even hear someone saying, no, my wife, you shouldn't go to politics, because already the picture looks like in politics, when your wife goes into politics, you lose her. So that's what I'm saying. We need to change ourselves, if it's even having accountability partners as a woman, so that your family knows you are here, I'm doing this at this time, to avoid the instances of probably even your relative, your in-laws wondering, hey, our wife, she'll be taking a video. Those videos that go around. So it's about also being accountable, that you're there to work. It's not about share. It's not about someone saying, oh, uko sawa, or you're not. Because the moment you're seeing you're having that uko sawa conversation, then there is no boundary. So someone would say anything, even you've not done anything, but as long as he feels he can say uko sawa, turn around, then it makes you look like really you're not serious and you're not working. So maybe we in politics should be mentored by those in the corporate world. Because I've seen very many successful families, the wife works away, she's a corporate captain, and things are okay. But when it comes to politics, so maybe they should tell us what they do to build trust and how they are accountable to their families. Yes.
We've said it never goes wrong, it starts wrong.
Yes.
And we have seen quite phenomenal women who have come out very strongly, even from our history, who stood by what they said, and they brought change.
Yes.
When you got into the political scene, who are some of the women that you looked up to, and why them?
At that time, I joined around 2013. I joined to support an MCA, and actually, I was just, my mind was, I'll be nominated, you know, that thinking.
Yeah.
So, because at that time, there was talk of nominations, you know, it was a new thing, which I never got. 2017, the women I looked up to, well, those, again, who are nominated in National Assembly. I was thinking maybe I can take the path of being nominated in National Assembly, but I quickly moved away from that because, again, nominations, you have to be known, you have to have the influence. And so I decided, no, let me just vie. So I can't really point on specific women because I just check very many women. But what really drove me, Wendy, was, I remember I told you earlier, when I was in my class doing masters, I was the youngest. And to be honest, I'd really sent out my CV, I'd done everything. My late mom was calling her friends, telling them, you say, I'm strong, wapate kazi.
Yeah.
So at that time, I really asked myself, what is my fault? I've gone to school, I don't have a job. So I started realizing the issue could be the policies. And then at that time, the current governor of Nairobi had pushed a bill, National Employment Authority Bill. What it focused on was the building, the infrastructure. So I saw a gap. So when we build a building, how are jobs coming through? That's when I realized the policies are not relating to the reality on the ground. And I felt I would be useful in the National Assembly to come up with bills that create employment. Because also at our time, that time there was kazi mtaani, kazi kwa vijana. So you wonder, you've gone to campus and then when do ufanya kazi kwa vijana?
Yeah.
So I felt like the gap comes from a legislative perspective. And that is why I really pushed myself. So it wasn't really about the women. It was about going there and trying to push a different legislation that creates employment. Unfortunately, and I think it has just come back, I realized one time I told my lecturer during my master's class, this issue of unemployment is a ticking time bomb.
True.
And recently he called me, told me, Justina, you are right. You know, that time I was maybe the young one, the only one without a job, but now the numbers over time have grown. So what drove me was the why we don't have jobs and the solutions. Yes, not the woman, to be honest.
And it's true, it's a pandemic because the bulge in the number of unemployed people has really bulged out, you know, and that is the cry of now even young people. And before we came on set, we were having that conversation and how tough it has really been because, you know, you look back and you're like, during our maybe grandparents' time, were things this hard and they knew how to camouflage? But I believe things have just been different and harder right now. And maybe now someone is listening to you and they're really drawing so much admiration and you're making them rethink the approach they have towards politics. What keeps you grounded?
Wow. As of now, I'd say my family, but before then, what kept me grounded is the fact that I don't know whether it's a calling. You know, I grew up where Raila Amolo Odinga was my MP, so I used to see him going around doing campaigns. And and then during our times, our parents used to force us to watch news, you know, it was news time, keep quiet. So it was just seeing the way the conversations are happening, how these people are shaping policies. So I would say maybe in future, it's me. So there are many times I'm down, I won't lie. Sometimes you feel like you're low, you've lost it. But I always look at, let me wait for tomorrow, maybe something else better will come. So I always encourage myself with the future. And I want to tell anyone who's watching here, I've been at that point where you see the youth were saying, I'm ready to die. If I go tomorrow and I'm short, at least it's better for me. But I want you to see your life past this 30. I want you to see that you can shape the country by putting your vote there, being an agent. Just try and see that you are still needed. We still need you. We don't want you to die. We don't want you to feel hopeless. We've been there. I think maybe people lie, but I've been there feeling depressed. And then there's also an issue with parents. They feel like you're not pulling your weight towards getting a job. But just hope there's a better tomorrow. But as long as we are there, we have to really get involved in looking for those solutions. And they come from those who are elected and appointed. Yes.
So I believe right now, from the time you actually came out really boldly and strongly in 2022, there was a shift. And I believe even the kind of scrutiny that you receive now is way more massive than what was there before, you know, because now you became a public figure and so many eyes are on you. So as a woman, in this space where there's so much backlash, there's so much voices that are speaking, and when you are growing through from 2022 to now, what are some of the things that made you, number one, stay accountable to your actions, to your roles? And you see, especially in Kenya and even in the African continent, people baptize you to be their role model. And this is one of the jobs people don't ask for. But once you start making appearances on TV, you are in social spaces, someone just picks you to be their role model.
Yes.
What keeps you accountable? What keeps you in check, especially as a woman?
Okay, what I've learned is if you're doing this with your partner or your spouse, it makes it easier. We go around with my husband, so even when someone calls me for coffee, there is no temptation that I'm hiding from him, you know. And then that person will see that I'm with my husband, and he's very supportive. He tells me, yeah, you go take to coffee. So the fact that he's even allowing me to do things, I realize he's not really an anishuku or anything. One, we really don't hide. Something else I learned, you can get trapped in social media. When you look at your inboxes, there's so many people who are interested in you. For me, my social media is just anyone, even my husband can look at it. And there are no secrets because I want to be an open book. Because at the end of it all, Wendy, I feel like my home is more important than this. If I lose my home, then where will I come back to? Another thing is that even my relatives, I tell them, what are your views? What do you think? Even my friends, I ask them, what do you think? Where can I improve? So it becomes a communal thing. It becomes a communal journey. I'm not hiding from anyone. Someone has called me for coffee. No, everyone knows what I'm doing. And that is what I always encourage women. Because we are vulnerable. We are at a risk of, you can go for coffee, get dragged and things happen.
Actually, yeah.
You better just let people know what you're doing. There's no need of hiding. And then for the husbands who don't support women, because actually it's easier being single. You know, you're accountable to yourself. It's easier when you're single. But when you're married, I always tell husbands, also support this woman. Because if she thrives, all of you are thriving.
But is that really it? Because people have the stigma that, especially men, that if your woman is doing way better than you, then problems start. And I think I really appreciate the support system that you've gotten.
Yes.
But that could not be the reality for many women, you know?
Yes.
Because you're there, number one, from the place you're coming from to be seen and not to be heard. It was your brothers that were considered to go to school before you. So if there's pocket change, then now you go to school. But you've struggled, you've gotten a job, now you have your own home. So now you're there to sort of support the man of the home to go way ahead of you, you know? But now you're telling and encouraging them that there's no pressure to be threatened, you know? If she wins, you also win. But people say women change. Give her money and see her true colors. What do you think?
Even men change. I think the what do we say? The worst thing, the bad thing here, the evil thing is money. So it's about the temperament. Even people say, oh, before he was seeking votes, he was a good person. But at the end of it all, we would never know the temperament of this person until they change. But I want people to start looking at life from a partnership perspective. Maybe for me, what makes it easier for me, my husband has more money than me, so maybe he feels more secure, I guess. But I want people to look at life from a partnership perspective. Because we all have callings. There are people who are called to be priests, others are called to be doctors. So if you see that your wife has this calling, then I think it's important. Similarly, even women, we need to support. In as much as men don't really seek permission from us, support him from a perspective of when he tells you, let's go for this to church, please dress well and go, just accompany him. Don't look like you're fighting him, because now you lose the plot as a family unit, and then you see people start having issues, or you feel like, oh, my husband doesn't take me. Maybe you don't dress for the occasion. So put the effort so that both of you win.
You look the part.
Yes.
Let's come back to policies.
Yes.
And I like how solid you said people, you need to stand the ground and let us know what you actually represent and what are the changes that you can bring for the people. I was having a conversation with one of the women also in the political scene. And she said the reality is, even in our parliament, buildings, they had not been made friendly for women. So where do you stand when you, for example, go for maternity leave?
Yes.
You know, this actually brings a very big gap because when you come back, it's like starting over,
All over
you
again.
know, which that sort of makes people shy away. What are, in your space and in your experience that you have been there, what are some of the policies that can be put in place to champion, fight for, advocate for women in political spaces?
I think COVID brought in the aspect of working from home. I think we should push it through. It's not a must we come in every day an 8 to 5 job. We can work from home. Another thing is also men should, okay, now they're given 2 weeks paternity leave, but I feel they should be given even a month. Let them stay home and bond, because even the 2 weeks they go drinking, they don't really relate with what is happening at home.
Yeah.
They should be given more time. At a place of work, like when the Mheshimiwa was mentioning Bunge, it's good to speak up. If you're a group of women and you feel like we need a nursing area, it's okay, speak up about it. But probably most of the decision makers, or those ones who are at the strategic level, are mainly men, and they wouldn't know what you're going through. So it's important to speak up and let them know that we would need this facility. And I think as part of employee wellness, companies are embracing it. So if you don't talk, then they won't know what you really need. But men need to be added more time, from 2 weeks to like a month of paternity, so that they can understand what is happening at home.
Yeah. So Kenya, we agree that we still have a long way to go. If we're actually still playing catch up in terms of embracing women in these spaces. And we want to really advocate for that, because take a girl to school, you've educated a whole community, you have empowered. And this is a reality we've seen in different and other sectors of this life, the corporate space that you're talking about. So as a nation, how do we move forward? You know, we are at a place where we are saying, you know what, there's a gap, there's a disconnect. Partially the people who are the key players and who are women are not putting in the weight. But again, we are also saying the women who want to get into these spaces are not coming correct. So collectively as a nation, how do we change the narrative? How do we speak up again and make it ready and friendly for women who want to get into leadership and really bring a change?
I think it also starts from upbringing. Like you said, sometimes your brothers are told to go to school. So if the economy was working, I doubt parents would have to make a decision between a boy and a girl. So one, we need to get our economy right. The purchasing power, people must have the money. Something else is that I always remind Kenyans, when a teacher is marking scripts, and they can tell us on the feedback whether that's true, they don't say this is a girl or a boy. They always look at how you understood the concept. So we should also look at how intellectual are these children? What is the innovation, you know? Because sometimes you even see the schools are saying, oh, we have not been given capitation. But if we really focus on innovation, creativity, and these things they do, I don't know, at times they are calling it Science Congress. I don't know what they call it now. If they really got even partners to invest in those projects, schools would be earning royalties, you know? So we need to be different in how we are driving this country forward. And I'm always saying that we are now 62 years, but as we need to thrive, not to survive, to thrive the next 62 years, we need a different angle on how we see things. So it goes back to how comfortable am I to pay school fees for my kids, whether it's a boy or a girl. How comfortable is our school? Not that you're earning royalties. What can we do? Because you see, again, those ideas are the solutions we need in our society to take us forward. So if we need to shift how we see our education. And I always say that, why do we have unemployment? Our unemployment crisis, or the fact that even maybe women are not in those spaces because it means their skills are not required, is because there is so much demand for these jobs, but the supply is low. But when the private sector is thriving, they're creating jobs, they're paying taxes, you even have opportunity to be creative, to be innovative. I see YouTube, some people are doing some research, those US people, they do funny things. And you wonder, where are they getting funding for these things, you know? Until we get to a point like that, everyone will feel comfortable running in their fastest lane. Yes.
Justina, let me take you back to 2022.
Yes.
You had a dream
Yes.
for the people. You believed in some change that you could bring.
Yes.
And right now, we are between a rock and a hard place. How does it make you feel that the decision was made and this is where we are, and you are not able to get into the seat of power to bring a difference or a change? Let me start there. How does it make you feel to see our country in the state that it is right now?
It makes me sad, Wendy. It makes me really sad. And I remember the other day someone tagged me and they were like, I wish we voted for these people.
Yeah.
And then I told them, Nick, hadi nikaongea kizungu ikaisha, lakini wapi, you know? That's what I was telling them. But what I feel is that we may not have gotten there, but there was a mind shift in terms of conversations. You know, right now people started seeing it goes beyond government doing. You know, the true front runners were saying, we'll give you 6,000, we'll do this. But there's a shift, even during the debate I was pushing, that we need to also pull our weight. The moment we can do it, the role of government actually should just be to regulate, to legislate, to collect taxes, because everyone is pulling their weight towards nation building. So I feel sad, but I feel also it's a lesson to Kenyans that be open to all shades of proposals, not just the usual ones. Can you listen to even newcomers? In fact, someone was telling me, oh, I think we have very many political parties. And I'm like, we even need more. And even when you're voting in the National Assembly or Senate or wherever, don't really vote at you have two majority parties. That's where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
We should even have a mix and match so that everyone comes with their own legislative proposals, their own ideology. It enriches the conversation we have in this country. Yes.
So let's imagine you had gotten in, because when you look at conversations even happening on social media, there's a lot of back and forth between, okay, fine, he's not doing the right thing. Then what should he do? All right?
Yes.
Or what would he have done otherwise? So let's imagine you are in the office and right now would have been our first lady, you know. What are the things that you would have done differently that would not have brought our nation to this situation that we are in right now?
Wendy, allow me to focus on the future when I'm there. You know, even if you've noticed, I've rebranded now. I'm a champion for economic democracy.
Yeah.
I've moved away from that title. Number one, the most important thing, we need to order the disorder in our factors of production. Our economy needs to grow. We need to look at manufacturing. We need to look at creatives. We need to look at sports. What I have in mind is the fact that you don't have to play rugby as a side hustle. Can it be the main thing you do?
Yeah.
Because not all of us will get white-collar jobs. So where is your talent? Are you innovative? Are you a researcher? You know, when we order the disorder in our factors of production, it allows, that is factor of production labor, it allows everyone to see where is my strength and where can I win. As long as you can win there and you can earn money, the better for you. You're pulling your weight. Look at even our land. I watch documentaries in Israel. Israel is dry, but they are feeding themselves. So every time you hear we have boots on the ground in Baragoi, Elgeyo Marakwet, and you see that land and you're like, maybe we've lost it. How about instead of boots on the ground, we come up with an irrigation project, you know, involve these people. They say they are into, they had cattle. How about we have this, you know, a research place for cattle, and they rear the cattle then and they feel involved instead of stealing cattle, fighting, you know. When we are missing out on ordering the disorder in our factors of production. Something else I feel that is not really working out for us is also how we fund counties. Because when counties are saying, oh, National Assembly is not giving us, and the national government is not giving us our fair share, how I wish that, so that Kenyans can vote for the right people. The national government should tell counties, give us your proposal of projects. We fund a project, you earn your money there. You see, now you don't really have to pressure national government to give you budgetary allocation. Remember, we have the problem of public debt. So if national government doesn't have money, then the counties stall. But if people discuss that we are funding a project, do it. If you got a governor who is a dunderhead, that's your problem, you know. But that's project,
the person you chose.
Yeah, it is for you to sort out. If they can't come up with a project, that's your problem. So when you order that disorder in how we fund counties and devolution, I think it eases the pressure from the national government. Something else I feel we need to change is how we finance our Article 43, healthcare, education, social protection. Because when you look at even the police, yes, they're independent, and then maybe they were given 150 billion this financial year. But what is 150 billion vis-a-vis what they were expecting to be effective?
Yeah.
So those are the things that I would really focus on, the three things. Because at the end of it all, I tell Kenyans, I won't be there to make you grow. Just like the gardener says, I don't force them to grow. I remove that prevents them from growing.
Yeah.
So when Kenyans are given that conducive environment to thrive, then really you as government, you sit back and collect taxes, and they'll be willing to collect taxes.
Yeah.
So those are the things I'm looking at going forward 2027. And I'll bring my A game there. If Kenyans decide to vote, why not? But I feel the burden I have now is to changing the mindset of Kenyans. Let's start being serious. At those levels where they are strategic, those ones who are influencing policies as the executive or legislations, those in parliament, those people earn huge salaries.
Yeah.
Because it is assumed that at that strategic level, you're using your brain to come up with solutions.
Exactly.
So we should be expecting solutions more. And I'm happy, there's a time in 2023, there was Maandamano. And I was telling Kenyans, stop entertaining these ones who are senators and MPs on the ground. Can they go to Bunge and tell us what they are doing about it? And Kenyans have picked up that conversation. I don't know, when Albert was killed, there's a woman reports told, go to Bunge. Go. Yeah. When you come to the ground and we are together, we are struggling. So
how is it helping?
Who is helping the other? Go to Bunge and say those things.
Yeah.
Okay, despite the fact they say, if you're not aligned to government, you're frustrated. I feel also we need integrity of parliament. If it's those standing orders that come with the rules that, you are a newcomer, you're not a ranking member, then we need to do away with them. Who told us that we have to stick with colonial rules?
Yeah.
If it's a Kenyan way of saying, okay, fine, even if in a matatu we used to stand for the aged, why did you enter the matatu?
That has actually, funny how you're saying this, because, social media has made the world a small village, and you can actually see people's different sorts of thinking.
Yes.
And somebody was saying, times have changed when right now, if you're getting into a public service vehicle and there's a young person sitting, they're free to argue.
Yes.
It's okay, you are way older than me, but you actually saw that it was full.
Why did
you made the decision to get in. So I believe that's your problem,
Yeah, it's not a big problem.
Justina, let me take you to when people haven't occupied office yet.
Yes.
They have brilliant ideas. And we've had conversations where people say, what was the problem? Is it that we bought into the lies that the president told us? Or is it that he just knew exactly what to say to us to buy us out, But we've seen, look at the governor of Nairobi. It's such a disappointment. Without a shadow of doubt, it's heartbreaking to see a person who stood for integrity, go into the system and become worse than the devil, to say the least. So what usually happens? Because when they're out here, when you meet them in different forums and kamkunjis, they have the perfect solutions. And by the way, if we could all implement the solutions people had before they get into office, it's okay. Perfect. We'll be having a perfect working country. But what happens? You get into office and you lose touch with the people, Anytime there's a crisis, just the way you're saying, you're there with the people crying. But we elected you into those offices to go and help us. The same thing we are saying even for women representatives. You get into that office and you're actually not doing what you're supposed to do. What is that all about?
Two things. Number one, I realized, the fact that campaigns are expensive in this country. When the money you required, I remember IEBC gave us spending limits. Spending limits to run as a president is 4 billion. You're not even building an industry. 4 billion just to waste on campaign, you see?
Yeah.
Of course, you meet people who want to finance your campaign. And when they know when you get there,
their interests.
I have my own interests. You have to influence policies that serve me. And you have no choice, Wendy, because they gave you money and you won the seat. Something else, one of the senators, who I don't know, she was thrown out, she came out and said that at the Senate, there's the House Business Committee, so your ideas are not really respected. You're told you're not a ranking member. So I think also that makes, and then you meet those ones who've been there over 25 years, and they're telling you,
Exactly.
I am a ranking member. So it becomes an issue of, you're in Form 1, I'm in Form 4. You know me, that's how I see it. So this Form 4 is bullying the Form 1.
That's true.
And they're telling them, even as you are there, hiyo moto tulikuwa nayo. So clearly you just get, you say whatever, man. You start collecting your salaries and you don't even care about the people. Because even the environment is toxic.
Yeah.
The moment that Form 4 is telling you are there, so you just lose hope, and you don't see the value. And then election comes, you need to also accumulate money for the next election, because elections are expensive. And that is why I said, if our economy was working, when we would have those ones who feel they have a calling to lead. But at this time, the only sector working is politics. So if you have money, you go into politics. If you feel like your business is being threatened, you go into politics. But why should businesses feel threatened? We're supposed to be creating a conducive environment for businesses.
Yeah.
So I feel that, one, the financing really holds you back. You have to repay the finances. Number two, the structure, the institution itself, you're being shown there's nothing you're doing. So it just makes you give up. Another thing, cost of campaigns. And that's why I tell women, for me, the beauty of it, I always say, and it was a blessing in disguise. The first time I ran for Mavoko MP, I was 30. I didn't have money. And I learned to tell people from the onset, I don't have money. So me, I'm not ashamed to tell people that. But there's people who feel that, no, you need to have money on the ground. You have to have those trucks. You have to. So that pressure, others take loans. You have to recoup your money back.
Yeah.
So I think that is what, and then you're threatened. Probably you have loans. If you decide to talk against the party leader who got you there, again, you're threatened.
It's a problem.
You remember your loans, you just keep quiet. So we miss out. If the economy was working, I don't think it would even be that competition to really win that seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a vicious cycle. Let's look at it. And when you were speaking, I was actually thinking of how true this is and how it's such a reality in our lives.
Yes.
Because you think you will bring the change, get the finances, get into office, you have to work and repay because there are people on your neck. And it's sad that we've seen people who've lost elections get into depression. Some take away their own lives because where do I go from here?
Yeah.
It was almost sure if I go in, 1, 2, 3, 4 will be done. Question. Do the members of parliament, from the lowest of ranking top to the presidential seat, intentionally deny us the right of growth? Because if we grow, then we do not wait for campaign seasons for you to give us money. You understand? We know exactly what it is that we want there. Is it an intentional move by the political scene to make people as, quote unquote, foolish as possible so that this vicious cycle continues?
I feel it's intentional. And that's why I said, due to demand and supply, there's over demand for those positions. So you're always threatened. So you have to protect yourself. And even if protecting yourself means that we deny these people enlightenment, right? We make them just see, we'll always be there. We'll always be there to give them 2,000 shillings bursary. I will always be there to give you 2,000 for burial. For them, that is their joy because they're capitalizing on that and they're benefiting. And that is why I always tell Kenyans, there's a theory of economic democracy that says politicians maximize on votes. So for them to maximize on votes, they'll do anything, including what I said, getting money, whatever. Then they want to maximize on votes. But we, the voters, are meant to maximize on the utility. Utility is the benefits you get having Justina there. So we need to start looking at mutual interests. Kenyans should stop saying, Justina helps us, comes for burial. No. What is the benefit of having Justina there? She's creating a conducive environment for business. We are ordering the disorder in how we fund Article 43. When Kenya starts seeing that we also want to benefit, so it becomes a mutual benefit angle, things will change. But as of now, politicians know that you guys are not interested. You just want some money for burial, handouts kidogo. So we are the ones we are the ones who get ourselves played.
Yeah.
Because we have not even raised the bar of the standards we want.
Yeah.
In fact, I always say this issue of, we are calling a rally. No, let them do door to door. Find us doing whatever we are doing.
Exactly.
Explain yourself. Yeah, I'm busy, but okay, I'm listening to you. But I didn't put the effort. You're the one who has come to where I'm working. But they'll never allow that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tragedy of Africa.
And the bar was too low that our political bar is just, it's not even there, you know?
Yeah.
But we've come to a time where there's awakening. That is what I believe.
Yes, there is.
Personally, how I'm contributing to the growth of this country is by intentionally engaging in civic education.
Yes.
Because that is another thing I think politicians and political figures deprive us of.
Yes.
Because then you do not know what are your rights and what are their responsibilities.
Yes.
Just the way you're saying, why are you coming to a fundraiser at a burial to give people handouts? And then we say Justina is working. No. At the facility, hospital facilities well stocked, you know, those are your rights. When you come home and say, oh, unajua alijenga barabara, but that is exactly what they should be doing, you know. So now Gen Zs are saying, fagia wote. How practical is that?
For me, I have a cousin who was telling me they were about to get to State House, and then she tells me she can't remember what happened. But I asked her, you're 30, yes. Have you ever voted? I said, no, me, I've never been interested. I told her, that's the problem.
You know, politics is not my thing.
Yeah. I told her, you're 30. I remember when I finished Form 4, my dad took me to take an ID. And at that time, I even registered to vote for the referendum. So I feel also the parents of today are not really keen about the civic duty of their children, because I also met some parents who say, I can't force my kids to vote, you know. But yeah, it's not forcing, but show them the importance. So when my cousin told me they had gone to State House, I told her, you know, you're the problem. You should have voted. When I'm explaining to her one polling station where you vote, like Wendy, where there's WE, you're only 700 of you. So it's difficult. If you're there, you're protecting the vote and the vote is being counted. It's difficult. We've moved away from ballot stuffing. And she's keen. She's like, oh, that's what happens. So what I want to tell Gen Z, it's unpopular, yes, but at this point, if we really want our country to be stable, beti ishaungua, beti ya William Ruto imeungua. Can we just wait for 2027,
Amen.
do the right thing? And please, it goes beyond voting. It goes towards even being volunteers to be party agents. Because the issue is now when you voted, no, you have to protect your vote. Be there until they count the last vote. The Form 34A is completed, you've signed. You have to invest in the process. The way you invest yourself and say, I'm going for Mandamano, please that really sacrifice yourself. Go out there, join a political party you love. I won't say mine or which. Just join the one you feel is answering the question of how you're going to benefit, and register as a party agent, volunteer as a party agent. Because another thing we fail is that these big parties, they are able to pay agents. But see that these small parties, agents, they feel hungry, they are bored, wanapotea, so they won't protect the vote. If you're really keen about changing this country, then you really need to vote and protect the vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Justina, I love and appreciate the way you are centered towards how we are moving forward, you know, and what the future has for us. But the biggest giant in the room, an elephant for me, is how the system is.
Yes.
Many people say if you cannot beat them, join them.
Yes.
Or what happened to Mheshimiwa 1, 2, 3? It was difficult to beat the system, so he joined the system. So Justina, we keep the momentum up, beti meungua, and we go to the next elections and we guard our votes and we do everything. But you go into the system and find the Form 4s and the bullies.
Yes.
What hope is there? So how do we change that? Because for me, it's a problem that's with the system. It's like the roots are so deep in it. That's why we are saying, it's like, I wish we had a restart button where we say, tunaanza upya, you know? But as it is right now, and I hear the passion behind your voice, you know, let's do this, you know, we know the right things to do. Okay, fine. Then we put them into office. The probability that the same problems will crop up again are high. So how do we protect ourselves from that even in the future?
I think there'll be safety in numbers. And I always tell these ones who say, I'm a ranking member, I've been here for 25 years. If really you are doing your job, we won't be having this problem. If you're influencing policies that are futuristic, you guys would have seen that unemployment will one day be a ticking time bomb. So being there and telling us you've been there for 25 years is not really adding value. There was no impact. So I would tell the youth that you also need to vote younger generation. If you look, and I respect the ones who've been there, the older ones who've been there. I respect them because they have gotten us to where we are. But now it's about time they let us now push the country forward. I looked at Emmanuel Macron. At the time he was being elected, I think he was 40. And the average age in France that time was 60. So it means the older generation voted for the younger guy.
Yeah.
So why do we, if those older generations realize that we need a younger person with new ideas, new vision to take us forward, then it's about time we, because we actually are predominantly youthful, we should vote for youthful. If the old in France are voting for a youthful person, why are we voting for old people?
Yeah.
It also goes to beyond just going there. Vote for even a younger person who will be more energetic, who will have more ideas, someone who will see that technology is not a threat.
Yes.
It's something that is supposed to get us forward. So I think we need even younger leaders. Younger leaders, when they say we need mentorship, no, we don't need. They say we need experience. No, we don't need experience. Where this country is, we now need new thinking, innovation, and creativity. And it's not a must to have experience for that. Yeah.
Justina, this is your calling, this is your passion. We are moving forward. So we want younger blood, we want new things, we want more women in these spaces. Personally, as you prepare yourself for the future that we want and the future that we deserve, because actually that's the thing, it's a future that we deserve. How should fellow women who want to get into these political spaces start grooming themselves? You've highlighted a couple of things: integrity. What do you stand for? What do you say? How do you carry out yourself? Do you look the part? Honesty, you know, are you transparent with what you do? Because most of the times people get into compromising situations and then social media catches up with you, and that totally takes away your confidence. Number 3, it's being confident in your skin as a woman and what you believe in. So those are some of the things I've just picked from our conversation. But I would want you to highlight for us, because definitely you're preparing for the future and you're getting yourself ready. How do we get other women to be ready as well and not repeat the mistakes that we are seeing happening now?
Many a times women are interested and then they get lost when IEBC is asking for requirements. I even tell Kenyans, it's not even about you being an aspirant. Because at the end of it all, we vote for the people who are cleared by IEBC. Wherever you are, you feel I have to vie, I want to change this country. Can you start familiarizing yourself with the requirements, IEBC requirements? Can you know you need a tax compliance, a HELB clearance? All those requirements, know them. So that by the time you IEBC is saying now, as you need to move from graduate from an aspirant to a candidate, you have already gotten the requirement. Because at the end of it all, you see this politics before IEBC, it doesn't matter. What matters is after you're cleared. So the most important thing, get yourself prepared to be cleared by IEBC. At the end of it all, Ukombele will sort itself out. Sometimes also tell women, stop over planning. For me, I've learned being freestyle. Yani, you let it flow. You've done your part. No, let it flow. And I think it eases the pressure of, I don't have money. Sometimes don't even think you don't. Just let it flow. Whatever. You go to church, you let them know you're a candidate, say hi to them. Then that's it. Because at the end of it all, it's beyond your control. Yes, they have seen you, they have heard you, but the Kenyans have the vote. They're the ones who are going to decide. Something else I learned, you can really easily get depressed by feeling, I've done everything, it's not what, no. Sometimes just do your bit. And then let the positive energies, you know, they say the secret, let the positive energy do their part. If it wasn't for you that time, try another time. But the most important thing, ensure you have IEBC requirements. Those ones will get you at least a step further from being an aspirant to a candidate. Yes.
So we should not over-prepare. And I like what you've said. People get depressed because we've taken politics away from just being a job. You understand? I could relate politics to journalism. Kenyans give you so much pressure just because your job requires for you to be on screen and therefore you are exposed to so many people. But they don't understand you also live paycheck to paycheck and it is a job that you're actually doing. And when we change the narrative and look at politics as a job, this is actually a job that we have collectively given you the contract that can you go and work for us and deliver. Things will be different, you know. As we come to the tail end of this conversation, I think politics can play differently this time around.
Yes.
As if we continue with the same momentum and the same ideologies and the thinking that we have, it will be different. And we will move away, or the desire is to move away from, number one, campaigns that are all because of money. You know, we now want substance. And we are moving away from big parties, the way you were saying, that we're now people are nominated, or IBC has cleared you. We have politics which is party-led, you know. Now we want individuals who can work. We have Wendy who wants to do this. And because we believe in what she stands for, we elect her for that. Can that become a reality for us?
It can. And actually, let me correct you. I mean, it's easier for a woman to be in a political party because the requirements are less than being an independent. Number two, being an independent is, you'll end up being swallowed by the others. So it's easier to join a political party. But can we change, back to your question, the day we stop seeing everything as a national cake. I have a problem the way people say this is the national cake, we need a share of the national cake. So there is a cake, in our mind we know there is a cake, but did we even contribute to making that cake? Do we even know how much that cake, as in where the slices that have been left? Remember, this argument has been there from 1960. At that time when they're talking about the national cake, we were 8 million. Now at 55 million, this cake is not enough for us. So Kenyans need to also move away from there is a cake that they're assuming has been baked towards creating that cake. And even you can decide, do you need a cake? No, maybe you need an ugali, you know? So let's think creating wealth as opposed to spending. Because the argument when you see politicians, most of them are like, we are spending. But when you ask them, how are we going to get this money? How are we going to fund this project? They don't know. So can we flip the coin? When we change how we see government from a national cake to now we are building or baking or cooking the ugali, people will pull their weight towards it. So it can change if we change our mindset on how we see government.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want us to take a minute on that point. According to me, being part of making and baking the cake is participating and being part and doing your civic rights and duties.
Yes.
And I feel as a country for quite a while now, people have been failing themselves. Let's really be honest that let's take responsibility of how we participated in the failure of our country.
True.
For example, the conversations you're having, people never go to the ballot. People just don't vote. People don't actually, I think it was very clear and loud in last year's finance bill that people knew we had public participation, that this information is given way beforehand and the process in participating until it now becomes a finance bill that is passed in very few minutes. So how do we participate in the baking of this cake in our nation?
I feel that one, government should not be the single largest employer. You should, when I say employer, that you're employed or you're doing tenders. We need to empower or make private sector thrive so that government is left with just legislations. And you know, in private sector, there are deliverables. You know, in government, people are like, this is serikali, they are not really motivated. And then you meet even someone who has a PhD in government, but they are not even motivated. If you'd flip the coin from the work ethics of government to private, number one, people will pull their weight towards it. So I think the most fundamental thing we should do is government just focusing on legislation, regulation, and tax collection. All other things should be done by private sector. And yes, I support privatization, but Kenyan-owned privatization. Kenyans have money. Have you gone out to ask them, do you want... People bought Safaricom shares overwhelmingly. So instead of telling us Adani is coming, ask Kenyans if they're willing to invest. If Kenyans own the process, you won't pass there somewhere at the airport and litter.
Exactly.
You know your effort, your money, you've invested in that. And then you want KQ to thrive on the stock exchange because it's already listed. You're benefiting in terms of what you're getting at the end of it in terms of dividends. So when we own the country away from we are paying taxes, you know, to now, yes, there's some money I've put in, I've funded this project. There'll be more respect and we'll see things differently and we'll avoid the temptations to do things the Kenyeji way we are used to doing it.
And that is so true because there was an argument even with the finance bill last year and we were saying it is okay if you're taking away all this money from us in the name of tax.
Yes.
But are the systems
Working. Yeah.
You see?
True.
You pay all this money, it's deducted from you.
Yes.
But again, when you go to the supermarket, you have the same problems. You
Yes.
cannot afford simple medical attention.
Yes.
Kids going to school, it's problematic.
Yes.
So if they took away the money and the systems were working, well and
good.
good. But that would be good if now they asked us to be partakers of this country,
Yes.
then we would take more care of
Yes.
this nation.
Yes.
What's the future like for you?
Let me say...
Tupe siri.
I'll come back and tell you what I'm thinking, but going forward, I just want Kenyans to realize the largest problem or the biggest problem we have in this country is lack of economic democracy. When we start having economic conversations in our politics, I'm telling you, things will work out, will enrich in the conversations, things will be different, because the most important thing first is to change the mindset of Kenyans so that even they can see and they can envision a different Kenya. Yes.
Any political prospects as we move towards the next general elections?
You know, Wendy, I'm a small fish. If I talk mapema, this sharks me. So I'll come back. When it's safe, I'll come back to tell you.
When it's well ready.
Yes. Yes.
So there's a lady, there's a girl,
Yes.
there's a woman who probably has tried politics.
Yes.
It disappointed her, you know. Her name was tarnished. Is in the system and is doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
Or is outside the political scene and wants to get in. What are your parting shots for them?
I want to let me talk to even the men, because I say we have to move together. What should really motivate us is when we are old. Guys, do you want to get old in this country, in this environment? No, we really need to pull our weight so that we can enjoy our retirement. I saw an old lady saying she'll go around the world. Instead of paying rent, she'll just cruise and cruise. Really? Do you have the money to do that? Let's think about our old age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Justina, thank you so much for being here with us. I mean, it's a conversation that can keep on going on and on and on. But I think the biggest takeaway here will be, even as we go, let us go make a difference in the small quarters and circles that we have. And we appreciate women who have been in political spaces and you being a leader in your own rights and bringing the change that now you're even talking about economically. Yes. And we really are proud of you and may you continue doing the good job. Thanks. We truly want to appreciate you for joining us in the conversation this evening. It has been a great honor having you and discussing and engaging with us. And Justina has been here with us. She had shared so much insightful conversations with us. For now, we want to love you and leave you. My name is Wendy Lois. Until next time, kwaheri.